What's up, Guardians? Haterade here, and today we embrace the Void with the Sentinel Titan. Void 3.0 has been out for a little over a week, and I think I may have found just the synergy I needed to main this for the foreseeable future and completely change the way I view this subclass. Now, I ran my Titan through the Legendary campaign first, and I was honestly underwhelmed at the beginning to sad trombone music. I didn't really understand the ins and outs of how to synergize the right exotic with the subclass perks, and I wasn't able to test it out with some of the season's seasonal mods from the artifact. Fast forward to today, and I've got a monster of a Sentinel build to show you. This thing excels in all aspects of the game, and you'll feel like a juggernaut as you continuously suppress and detonate everything around you, all while keeping an overshield and healing at the same time. Before getting into the build, we have to look at the basics of the Sentinel in Void 3.0, the reworked subclass with its aspects and fragments. If you feel like you already have a good grasp on the Sentinel rework, feel free to skip ahead to the timestamp on screen. Starting with the super, you have two choices, the Ward of Dawn or the Sentinel Shield. A lot of people think that the nerf to the weapon damage from the buff, Weapons of Light, makes this super pointless when compared to something like a Well of Radiance. As you'll see in this build, the bubble becomes less of a focal point on pinpoint DPS, but rather a buff that allows you to continue to roam and stacks with the rest of the build. While the Sentinel Shield get a supposed buff to 40% weapon damage for fire team members shooting through it, we won't be going in depth with that in this video. In addition to that, the Ward of Dawn boasts the fastest cooldown time of all tiers of supers in the current sandbox, meaning you'll be constantly dropping bubbles to support you and your fire team. The class abilities for which Barricade or Jump use are 100% shooter's choice. Me personally, I've been toying with the Rally Barricade for the first time in a long time, thanks to the overshield provided to both myself and my fire team by one of the aspects. For the melee, you'll want the new ranged melee Shield Throw. As the ability reads, hurl your Void Shield towards a target. The shield can ricochet off targets and surfaces, granting overshield for each hit. I'll be the first to say the tracking on this thing is absolutely abysmal at times. I've literally yeeted it at enemies immediately in front of me, only to have it go soaring over their head. So know that there's a definite learning curve to aiming your shield throw. Everyone wants to be Captain America out here, but no one wants to put in the work to hone that shield throw aim. Do it, you'll be glad you did. The last ability to complete this loadout is your choice of a grenade type. The Vortex Grenade is new to the Sentinel Titan with Void 3.0, but can pair nicely with the aspects and fragments to give you a grenade that is fantastic at both crowd control and single point damage, which is something that not very many grenades can do. The only other option here, in my opinion, is the Suppressor Grenade to give a little bit more variety to the build. In using it over something like the Vortex Grenade, you can lean heavy into the suppression mods available this season to turn the tide of the battlefield against Hive and player Guardian alike. Now we get into the good stuff, aspects and fragments. For starters, Bastion is the way to go. Not only do you create an overshield for you and your fire team members using the Barricade, but casting your super will also provide the same benefits. The real workhorse of the aspects here is Controlled Demolition. Previously only available on the old Middle Tree Sentinel subclass, this allows for your Void abilities to apply the Volatile debuff to any enemy hit by them. That means both your grenades and your ranged melee can apply this debuff. Next, onto the fragments for the build. Echo of Persistence adds an increased duration to any void buffs applied, so in this case it extends the time that your applied overshields remain in place until stripped off by taking damage. Echo of Undermining allows for your void grenades to weaken targets. Think of this like the old seasonal mod Oppressive Darkness. Throw your Vortex Grenade at an enemy to debuff them to incoming damage by 15%. Pairing this with Echo of Remnants, which increases the duration of your Vortex Grenade, you'll be able to keep this debuff on your target for a longer period of time while adding the Volatile debuff as well. As for the build itself, we'll work from the top down to go over the mods on each of the pieces of armor. I like to run a solar helmet for this build so that I can run double Ashes to Assets mods, allowing me to get even more super energy with each grenade kill I get. Again, synergizing with the Vortex Grenade, this is great to use to spawn trap enemies or to drop at your feet for any rushing thrall. On a Might takes up the 4th mod slot, allowing you to do increased damage with Void weapons after picking up a Void Elemental well. Stasis Gauntlets are great for this build, as they allow you to slot things like Grenade Kickstart, giving you grenade energy when you use that ability, and Elemental Time Dilation, increasing the length of any time-related benefits received from Elemental Wells, like the previously mentioned Font of Might. The exotic armor for this build is the exotic chest piece, Heart of Inmost Light. Boasting the perk Overflowing Light, using any ability empowers the other two abilities, causing them to have faster regen, cause even more damage, and even allowing your barricades to have more hit points. This creates an ability combo of sorts, allowing you to chain your different abilities together in order to make them more effective. I'm a fan of a Void affinity for this piece of armor, as it allows you to take advantage of Void resistance and both Solar and Arc through the seasonal mod Thermoshock plating. This lets you cover all your bases for resisting some damage from enemy attacks that could be swapped out for something like Concussive Dampener or Sniper Resist as the situation requires. Lastly, Well of Tenacity provides a damage reduction after picking up a Void Elemental Well. For boots, the only real emphasis I place here are any scavenger mods you may want to utilize for the weapons you're using, as well as the mod Elemental Ordnance. Defeating anything trapped in the vortex of your grenade will create a void elemental well, allowing you to reap the benefits of this build. You could also swap this out with something like Reaping Wellmaker, which states that after activating your class ability, your next weapon Final Blow spawns a void elemental well. Lastly, on the class item, you'll be using some of this season's artifact mods. Energy Vampirism is fantastic to run when paired with suppression grenades. Overload grenades are great to have for champions and are a must-have for any sentinels stepping into activities like Grandmaster Nightfalls or Legend and Master Lost sectors. The final piece of this build is a little mod called Volatile Flow. Saving arguably the best mod in this build for last, the description of the mod reads that picking up a Void Elemental Well grants your Void weapons volatile rounds. Yes, you heard that right, volatile rounds. This is the exact same debuff you'll be applying with your abilities thanks to the controlled demolition aspect. What that means is that any void weapons like the new Funnel Web SMG, aka Recluse 2.0, or the Lemon Arc Bow with its fancy new catalyst giving it the perk Unrelenting, you can go full send on void with some of the best weapons in the game. At the end of the day, this build is stupid fun and relatively easy to use and set up once you have the right mods unlocked from this season's artifact. Give it a try for yourself and see if you don't ever go back to anything else this season. In all honesty, this will be my go-to build when I step into the new raid, Vow of the Disciple, for the day 1 raid race. With that comes the conclusion to today's video. I hope you enjoyed this build breakdown and learned something out of it. As always, I'll have the link to the dim loadout in the description if you want to take a look at everything laid out in front of you. If you enjoyed this video or found it at all helpful, then a like is greatly appreciated. Subscribe for more Destiny 2 content, and feel free to check out this build and many more live over on Twitch at twitch.tv/haterade. I stream 3 to 4 days a week and would love to have you swing by and check out the channel. That's it. I'm done. I'm out. I'll see you all in the next one.